when you want to stop. Oh, snap. Hey.
Hold up.
I just thought
You
about
were
that.
saying something about
I
me
was down it.
when
No,
I
no,
said I'm
no,
gonna walk the dog. When I said I'm gonna take the dog out, I'll be ready for you in 20 minutes. You laughed. And now you over here talking about hit me in the private when you're ready to stop.
no. I told you I ain't a whole bunch good. I mean, I'm real good with words, but sometimes I got to slow down the thought and think a little bit more because if you look, it says private chat, but you're right. The word private just immediately strikes that. Yeah, it elicits that thing. So anyway, we we wanted to talk the guys and goddesses unite. Um, I'm glad to have you on today. This impromptu meeting of the divine masculine and feminine. So let's get into it. You said you wanted to talk to me, uh, and I think one of the biggest things that men and women have to talk about is sex. So let's
Well,
talk about it.
yeah, the thing that the intersection that I think that people miss is that your sexual health is your physical health. You know, a, s- a study came out. I'm hoping that I still have it on my phone, but a study came out, and then it was reposted on Instagram, of course. it was it was reposted on Instagram, of course. Shout out to Say Cheese TV. But if I can't find the study, I'll just repost the post so that people can see it. But it said that most Americans cannot do 5 push-ups, proper full range of motion push-ups in a row. Um, and these are facts, like, and for a man, now women have luxury during sex. Women get to lay on their back, or they get to sit on top, or they get to, so they got luxury. But for men, you in push-up position the
Whoa,
whole time.
wait. Hold on, bro. Wait, time out. Wait. That's no. You said luxury? No, brother. First of all,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A man
I
is
don't know
doing
who
a
you've been
plank.
dealing with or what
Listen,
you've been
a
dealing
man
with.
is doing a plank slash push-up almost the entire time, unless it depends on the position. You know what I'm saying? But if you in the bed, a man is doing a push-up or a plank the
True.
whole time.
But that no means she's not throwing it back, she's not engaging, she's not
No, absolutely not. Let me
participating
take that. Yeah, let me,
in
let me, let me.
intercourse. Now there's
Yeah, you check me. No, you check me. You check me. I stand corrected. Let me make sure that yeah. Let me put some respect on the sisters' names out here in these streets, the goddesses. Right? Yeah, okay. So I don't want to take away from the
please do.
goddesses, but I'm just saying, fellas. Let me be more specific, fellas. If you cannot do 5 push-ups, if you cannot do 10 push-ups, if you cannot do a 30-second plank, there's no way you're gonna be able to be dominant in the bed. There's no way you're going to be able to, and not even so much as just the sexual act is concerned, because the sexual act spills over into relationships and other spaces, where the whole relationship can cave in based on, poor performance. And what people need to know is that this is a reflection, in terms of men anyway, of your cardiovascular health. A lot of times, there may be a situation where man can't get right to perform, and it's not viewed in the proper context. That should be an emergency warning sign that there's heart trouble.
Ooh.
Yeah, that should be an
Ooh.
emergency warning sign that there's heart trouble. Yeah, you on the road to a heart attack, stroke, but because that's a $1 billion a day business.
And you know what? It's life story. it's a lot of stories that I've seen about men dying during intercourse. I mean, the famous one that everybody knows of is The Color Purple, right? Where'd he die? On top of me. I'm smiling about it because I just smile, but
I
uh
just knew you was gonna say
it's a
Kevin
thing. And
Samuels, not
you
The
know,
Color Purple.
ah, no, because I don't get that brother. No, I mean, people, I wanted to go with that more notoriety that generations and different cultures will understand because people watch movies. People don't always pay attention to people.
Those are facts.
Mm.
Those are facts.
So we might show that uh, the gentleman is on the road to cardiovascular health or degenerative health. Sheesh.
Yeah, yeah, it's real. So
Now,
that's
likewise with women, um, you got to worry about hypertension. A lot of women have high blood pressure. A lot of men have high blood pressure. Uh, you can't get on birth control if you have high blood pressure because that amount of estrogen could cause your heart to stop.
wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the
Imagine
craziest
wanting
thing,
to protect yourself.
I was just having a conversation with my daughters about menstrual cycle. And that's
Hmm.
kind of like where we left off in the conversation because I was like, we got through the yucky part and the micro diaper and all this part. And I was like, because you have your cycle, there's going to be certain nutrients that you're going to lose that you have to replace over time, or your cycle can be nasty. A lot of times the disposition that's associated with the cycle doesn't necessarily have to do with the cycle itself. It has to do with some nutrient deficiencies that make the pain and the cramps and the some of those other things that we just associate with the cycle makes it worse. Whereas if you remember in the put back, you know the iron and the calcium and some of these other things, it's not as debilitating always. And if unchecked long term, yeah, there can be some other complications leading up to high blood pressure and some of the other things, potassium, sodium, like the regular basic electrolytes have a lot to do with balancing your blood pressure, so. And then,
Mm.
you
Yeah, and the beauty
you
of it is there's teas and waters for that too.
yeah, yeah, there's definitely some tools out there, but people need education.
Hmm. Well, that's what we here for. You know what I'm saying? We here to educate the people about our sex, cardiovascular health, and how it all kind of, pun intended, comes together.
Facts, and these are speaking of coming together, when we come together, the gods would call that a cipher, and everything is a cipher, a cycle. A cipher is a cycle. So just like I was talking about the cycle, and you mentioned coming together. This is the major components. I think when um a lot of times when the gods build and they talk about supreme mathematics, the zero doesn't get enough. The cipher, the 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 restart, the 10. That doesn't get enough emphasis. That's probably the
Mm.
most important number in supreme mathematics is the 10. You add that zero to knowledge, which is the to repeat, to start again, rebuild. And
Right, the infinite part of infinite.
that's what the body's made out of. That's what I was going to say. Your attribute on top of goddess is fit, the fit goddess. And without movement, like that's the most important thing. The system breaks down. You're you have 60,000 miles of blood vessels, but you have just about double that in lymphatic vessels. Your lymphatic system is about 120,000 miles long. And that's where your waterways to keeping everything running is at. The regenerative processes, the healing processes. And, I think a lot of times we might get, we've been inundated with the idea that money solves all problems. So we always look to make a purchase in order to get a fix. But in some regards, the best things in life are free. It
Mm.
it doesn't really cost anything to exercise. That's why I started this push-up challenge. Like, hey, everybody need it. And the sisters was like, initially they was a little skeptical. Now the sisters is doing the push-ups with us. We got, but initially they was a little skeptical. And I was like, well, on top of the 96%, you know, reduction in cardiovascular disease, you know, women more so than men, because men still have to worry about breast cancer as well. Men get breast cancer, but and that's raising. That number, that percentage of men getting breast cancer is going up because more men are getting gyno every year, which is moobs or male boobs.
Mm.
But push-ups help reduce the risk of breast cancer, you know. Um, and so, it's important to, these free cheat codes, these free cheat codes. Exercise is medicine. Shout out to the giant from Harlem. He used to say
Yo,
all the time, movement is medicine.
that's right. Now, the other day we started talking about this like real short, and you said cardiovascular health is humpability. What did you
Humpability,
mean by
yes.
that?
So humpability is a term I created to describe a few things, right? The two major aspects in terms of sex, right? Or sexual health. A, your humpability is how many people actually want to have sex with you. so your level of attraction, your level of magnetism, you want to always be the piece with the magnetic. You know what I'm saying? You want people to want to have sex with you. But the other piece is how well you can perform, your actual hump ability. You know, when I had my gym, and I got to shout out Mark and Jazz. Mark and Jazz took me in when I got to Detroit and allowed me to get on my feet. So shout out to Mark and Jazz wherever they at. Um, but we had a gym on Greenfield and Grand River, and I used to do these planks, and the planks was called Sex Money. I was doing like couples training, and it's a plank, but basically you know you're thrusting your pelvis back and forth, so to speak, right? And I used to call those sex money, and they used to laugh at me like, "Why you call it sex money?" I'm like, "Because this directly is going to increase your performance in the bed." You know what I'm saying? This is important. Um, we kind of get awkward sometimes and weirded out when you put certain things on Front Street like that, but it's like these are the most important things sometimes that
But
we
we're here to
don't
talk
talk
about it.
about.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So no, no, no. So yeah. So just certain exercises can increase your hump ability, and so that's a thing that we need to think about instead of spending trillions of dollars on divorce lawyers and blue pills and all kind of you know
Yeah, how you get that your back straight? Because she probably just need an attitude adjustment. You too.
these are all facts. These are all facts. And sometimes, for a man, his mental health, so there's a conversation to be had about sexual health being cardiovascular health, but then what most people don't really know, and I'm bringing this out to the world, is that your brain is secondary to the heart. Your heart
Hmm.
not only um, is a gland because it secretes a variety of hormones, which control how the brain functions, but also the beat of the heart. The brain has to pulse. The brain has a beat. Just like you could put your hand on your heart and feel it beat, your brain has a beat. And that the rhythm of the brain has to be in sync with the heart. In fact, the heart is the center of the body's rhythm. And when they are out of sync, there's mental health issues that result. And most people don't really know that your brain beats, you know what I'm saying? But the heart is at the center of your mental health as well. So sexual health is cardiovascular health, and cardiovascular health is your mental health. And this has been documented
Hmm.
thousands of years ago in Kemet. I know because I got the papyri. You know what I'm saying? I studied them directly. And so yeah, all of these things are related. A man can't have a strong, focused, ambitious, like he can't be masculine. He can't fully be what a male, what is defined as a male, if he can't perform for his lady. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a part of, even if he's single, hanging and banging, you know what I'm saying? Even if he just mixing it up, he still has to feel like a warrior to some extent on that battlefield. And if
Hmm.
that's not the case.
So wait. You telling me that the emotion, right, which is
Mhm.
where intimacy starts, especially for women, is in the emotion. You're
Yeah,
saying that men have the same emotion, it just comes in a different form in terms of intimacy for the physicality of it, right? Men
absolutely.
like the physicality of intimacy, but it's still a mental thing for men, whereas women like the mentality of the physicality of the intimacy first.
One, listen, 1,000%. 1,000%. Is 1,000%. Is I would even go as far as to say that our brain is deceptive. Our feelings are where the truth is at. You know what I'm saying? The same way they wrote the book called Think and Grow Rich, I'm gonna write a book called Think and Grow Sick, because leading with our brain, especially the logic, the rhetorical, a lot of times it get us in trouble. A lot of times it get us in trouble. We
Mm.
we gotta get into
Most
our
times.
intuition. Yeah, we gotta get into our intuition. We gotta feel, we gotta use logic and rhetoric and those things, but we can't negate the intuitive side of our being.
I think that's so dope that you say that because, again, I think one show that you were on with me, we talked about how men typically tend to lack a lot of emotional intelligence and sexual maturity. And it's not necessarily their fault. A lot of men are being groomed in ways we only hear about it, or we
Society.
normally hear about it when it's done to women. But a lot of these men have been groomed by older women in a young age, and they actually don't know um, how to court a woman, how to be intimate physically with a woman. They have really weird standards because of what they're watching and engaging. And then, like you said, when we try to call them on it and be like, be like, hey, let me take
Rap
it away.
music is,
Like as a woman, when
listen,
I'm like, hey, sir, are you mature enough to listen?
listen, rap music is raising
Go
us.
ahead.
You know, most of us,
Mm.
we don't have dad around. You know what I'm saying? So because we don't have dad around, we don't, the art of husbandry is a dead art, you know. Um, so we got to get back into that. There has to be, that has to be handed off. That's got to go mouth to ear. You know, you need to hear
Ooh.
from, and then the we still had like a fail safe because we had the OG or the old head in the neighborhood that kind of was like the dad for the young men that dads wasn't around. But you
For
know,
the
the last few generations we got into a space where the younger guys don't really even respect the older guys to listen. And so if you don't have that mouth to ear transmission of wisdom, you know, the experience, like, yeah, let me tell you about the girl that broke my heart the first time. You know, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. You know, let me tell you how this worked out for me. You know,
Mhm.
I met this girl and I blew my whole paycheck on her. I spent, you know, in today's terms, I dropped the bag on her, you know, and I did this and did that. Or, you know, foolish mistakes that, you know, you get to, and most times, to be honest, you still gonna repeat the same mistakes anyway. But when you have that wisdom transmitted from the older gods to the younger gods, that allows you to see all of the multiple
Hmm.
choices when you in the scenario in the middle of making your mistake, because you still gonna do you, but you go, oh, wait a minute, this is that spot right here. If I walk through this doorway, this is what's on the other side of this. If I walk through that doorway, this is on the other side. If I do this, this is on the other side. So maybe instead of, maybe I should just, let me just fall back and see. Let me see if listening helps. Or let me see if I don't press.
Mm.
Maybe I just provide space. Maybe if I, you know, like, you have these other options where if you don't have that guidance, you got to learn through trial and error. And you know, we're not hitting our stride in that space until we get to 40 or 50, you know, or late 30s. And a lot of times we let ourselves go physically. So by the time we get to that stage of maturity, you know, 40 years old, your humpability is very low. You know, your belly is yeah. You know, most men, they can't see their penis.
Yeah, so that brings up a
Wait, listen to this, sis. Most men
no, no, no.
cannot
So okay,
see
listen,
their own
listen.
penis.
No, no. Trust me, as a woman in fitness, that was like why everybody has certain goals, right? For the longest, I was 240. That was my goal. I wanted to look down and be able to see myself. I wanted to be able to look at my entire body and not have no body in the way. But what you said, what I heard you say was really crazy because now men and women alike are lacking guidance in I love the word you use, the husbandry and being a wife. You know, those things are no longer like taught in any way, shape, or form. And you can see it by how people like maneuver in the dating world now. I'm so disgusted because it's like men are like, oh, I want to meet me at McDonald's or the hotel room. They go, what the fuck? What? I don't, like you said, I haven't even gauged whether or not you mentally are worth my time for physically humping me. Like, because if you can't get me mentally stimulated, I'm gonna be annoyed and be like, well, why are we even doing this? So my body won't even want to interact with you because you've shut my mind off. But men have this weird, like, this interaction, men and women alike, because somebody's accepting this behavior for somebody to think that consistently I can do this and somebody's gonna bite.
Yeah,
So
that's the and
I'm not trying
that's
to.
the thing. There's a guy on Instagram and he has a Lamborghini and his whole thing is he picks up girls in the Lamborghini. You know, he has his like not desk, like dashboard camera, and they don't really know that it's a camera, you know, and they get in and he exposes these girls for being gold diggers. Like he meets them and literally within like the first 15 minutes, they like, yeah, so take me to Gucci, take me out to blah 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 blah, you know, like let's drop a bag, let's do it, let's go here. Some of the girls be like, I'm married, but you know, my man ain't got no car like this. So, you know, they just go. And the whole the whole idea of the platform is exposing the gold diggers, you know, the women that are gold diggers. And for me, I was having a conversation with my son about this. He getting ready to be 14. So, you know, I got to, you know, we got to have these convos, mouth to ear, you know. And I was showing him, I said, listen, when you look at this, I want you to understand that this is exposing men more than this is exposing women. And he said, what you mean? I said, because this is an accepted behavior. The women wouldn't have these out of pocket expectations if this wasn't commonplace. If they wasn't just meeting men and in 5 minutes they somewhere at a restaurant or somewhere at a close, because the man doesn't have, like you just said, he doesn't have the conversation, he doesn't have the mental stimulation. So in place of the mental stimulation is the compensation of, well, let's go shopping, let's go get something to eat, let me take you out and spend this money, and hopefully me spending you the money can stimulate you enough for you to give me the reward, which is either you on my arm or, you know, sexual gratification. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you don't want to be that bozo, son.
And see, but like in raising sons, like we're not there yet. We've in my raising, right? My oldest son has seen my youngest son born. Like I had a home birth, so he amphibians and animals to understand procreation, and then he made the connection when he got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu about how men and women make babies. Cool. So now I say, good. Now that you understand that, it's a choice. But my thing is with raising young men, why would you choose to lead with dick and finances when you're so much more than just that? And I often laugh with my girlfriends, like if that's how you gonna come at me, the charisma and the ego, as if you are somehow boisterous, and I know and you know you can't keep up this act because it's not real. You don't even you just think that this is how you get women, and you that works for some women, not all, especially not those that are self-aware, not are like working on
Well,
self-development, especially of the mind and everything. That's not gonna be the draw.
let me say this. Right now, shout out to Zip with the Drip. Um, it's a post, it's a meme. It's actually went viral already, but Jordan Poole's a basketball player for the Golden State Warriors. He took a young lady from the Bronx out on a date and spent $500,000 on the date. And again, you know, I have this different vantage point, this different view of things. I like to tell people it's inky vision, right? That's the phrase I coined. And I'm like, because most people like, oh, well, y'all hating because he's an NBA player and he just got a contract for $120 million, $130 million. So he got it like that. I'm like, see, math kills niggas. He doesn't have it like that. First of all, he got a 4-year contract for that money, right? So that's 4 years. He's gonna have 120. So right now, he has a fourth of that. And the way you meet somebody, the way you start a relationship is the way you must maintain the relationship and keep the relationship going. So when you open up the door
That part.
at a $500,000 date, that's the first date. What? What? How you gonna top that? How you gonna keep that going? And it's a 365 day
But not
year.
even that. If a woman is impressed by that, if a woman is impressed by that, then you better watch out, because again, she's not paying attention to the fact that you're not spending your money properly. You're not being fiscally responsible. So you're not actually creating stability or security for her. You are being frivolous, and that is scary. Like if you want to be the leader of
Wait,
the
sis, let me tell you what I
relationship
said.
and
Listen,
you
because
can't
here's
manage
the
your
joke.
money, this is how you spend your money.
Wait, here's the joke. This is the joke. They said, well, she's from the Bronx. He could have went and took her to get a slice of pizza. And so that was the running joke. Now here's what I said. I said, hold on. At $500,000, because I'm from the Bronx. The Bronx is in serious trouble. The Bronx need renovation. Just like Detroit, just like some of these other. I said, at
Come on
five
with it.
hundred thousand dollars, he could have purchased her a pizza shop and had
Listen, you could
change.
have bought me the block, baby. And
Right.
had changed. And then I could be eating for the rest of my motherfucking life. Now that's a boss ass move. If you gonna take
I-
me on a date and be like, listen, love, I want you to be in my life. This is the vision I have for my life. Matter of fact, this is how I see you fitting into the vision in my life. And then boom, here goes a business for you to run. Now you ain't got to worry about asking me for money, sweetheart. Here go all the money you could ever need. And as a man, I hope to invest in you and give it to you. You know what I'm saying? So that you ain't got to ask nobody else for nothing else.
Facts. Build a
Now
business. You
that's
know what I'm
charisma.
saying?
That's
Like
ego. Ego is
that's
only backed up by what you do, not what you say.
that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's how my father raised me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how you show a woman like business. But I think that if there is no like nowadays because of social media, a lot of women, a lot of men, people don't really have conversation, the art of conversation, just like the art of husbandry is a forgotten art. I got to shout out to Brother Tragedy Gaddafi, the art of awareness. I think all of these are little subtitles in the art of awareness. People saying they aware, they awoke, they conscious, but people don't really fully grasp that, and what social media does, it allows you to live in takes. you know People get to see you when you got your
Mm.
best outfit on at the best moment. So you got your best outfit on at your best moment, and you took 20, 30, 50 pictures of that moment, and then you went through the different ones to find which one was the best, and then you threw the filter on that picture, and then the conversation is choppy because the conversation people don't have, they're used to having unlimited amount of time to respond. So you type a comment, then they got time to figure out how they should respond to it, and boom, boom, boom,
Thumb it
boom.
out.
You got some of the most wittiest, funniest, intellectual, spiritual, like the sharpest minds of all times online. When you talk to them on the phone, when you meet them in person, when you have a live convo, complete bozos. It'd be dead space. There's no quick wit, there's no banter, there's no, because the mind is not
No
there.
back
These
and
are
forth.
forgotten arts.
There's no
So it's easy to just say, you know what,
mm.
we're gonna get high, we're gonna get drunk, I'm gonna spend this money. And those three things right there is the courting process. And if I get you high, I get you drunk, and then I go spend some money on you, and then you don't give me no booty, something's wrong with you, because I did what I was supposed to do. That's what I was supposed to do. We had high quality get high. We
Right.
had high
So
quality
it's
alcohol.
supposed to be like a cheat code.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a cheat code. In the dating world, you're absolutely right. Brothers will be like, oh, you want to smoke? Oh, you want to drink? I done had many a brother, and I tell them all the time, don't take me out to eat. I eat too much food. I'm a Marcus, and I don't even want to do that to you because I'm fiscally responsible. Plus, I don't want to go to a place where I haven't vetted the energy of the people cooking my food because I take what I put into my body very seriously. So now you trying to go through this pattern, like you said, I get you some smoke, get you some drink, and then you supposed to give me some ass. But it's like, bruh, I'm tallying up what you spent, and the effort don't match the value of what you're trying to get from me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm like,
Mark,
look at the receipts. Your receipts ain't match up. My
that's a
value is
bar.
different than what you've assessed. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry that your value, your self-worth is so low that you feel like that's all it takes to get your meat sausage. Because if that if for you to give yourself to me, if that's all that you I don't even want it because that's poor quality.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
crazy.
that's how a true woman, or at least from my experience, that's how I assess whether or not, you have, as you call it, humpability. You know what I mean? Men look at women, and from being a woman that is looked at by men, I can tell. You can tell a woman who takes care of herself. You'll get comments like, "Oh, you look like you have good stamina. You look like you fuck back. You look like you're strong. You look like um you have endurance." Right? These are what you can see just from looking at me. As a woman, I can't tell those things. I can't tell if you can hold a plank, if you have humpability. Like, I have to go
Let me
based off
say
of
this.
what you say and then what you do.
Let me add on to your bill right here. Um, now, shout out to the late great Dr. Africa, but this is one of the things that me and Dr. Africa disagreed on. Um, Dr. Africa was like, I don't know, I think he had some issues with women's butts. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, yeah, and you shouldn't be turned on by a woman's ass because dogs are turned on by asses and blah 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 blah. And scientifically, that was incorrect. Scientifically, our core sexuality is rooted in reproduction and the continuity of the species. So women store omega 3s, butt, hips, thighs, butt, hips, thighs. So at the core of
Hey,
our mental, we look at butt, hips, and thighs to see if the woman can produce us a healthy baby, because the nervous system of your child is going to be primarily based on these omega-3 fatty acids. Now, it's not to say that a skinny sister can't produce a genius, because she can just have omega-3s in the diet while she's pregnant, and the baby have a nice brain. But some of these things
mhm.
have a scientific underpinning that we may not know. So yeah, there's a part of the gross physical attraction, or the pull or the magnetism, that actually has a biological or physical you know um usefulness, a process, procedure, like a something that nature has installed in us for processes that we may not know. You know what I'm saying? And all of this is a part of our humpability.
No, I'm saying
And then the
you
other piece,
so
wait, before you go in,
yeah,
look,
you know
and
I'm
the
into
other piece is
fitness.
this: society says, like, people look down on dating people or getting with people that already have children. And I think exactly the opposite. And this is what I tell my children nowadays. I'm like, unlike us, in my generation, we had a lot of things to worry about, but y'all got it the worst. We moving into a world where, as young men, your high school sweetheart, you got to be careful. She may not have always been she. Like you don't know what you're getting into nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So when you meet a woman that has children, at least everything works. When you meet a man that has children, at least everything works. Like, hey,
Bro,
certain basics.
you know that's a real woman.
Hey, them
You know
that
that God
room.
made her that way,
Should you?
not the doctor.
Yeah, should you? And I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not shooting a shot at anybody with alternative. The people that identify as they and we and all that. But what I'm saying is, if the relationship progresses, you know, I was raised as a boy that, as a man, a part of being a man is children, having children and reproducing the seed. You know, I think that
Right.
that needs to be known at the beginning of a relationship if you're incapable of reproducing my seed. I don't want to be in a relationship with you and, a year later, 2 years later, things get serious. And then it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm alternative, my womb doesn't, we've got to adopt. Or, like, nah, bro, that I
Mm.
need to know that up front. I need to know if that program is not programmable. You know what I'm saying? If that program ain't programmable, that's something that I need to know up front. And I think vice versa. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
It's a
yeah.
science. It's definitely a science. And even in every good book will say go forth and prosper, which doesn't just mean go out there and get the bag. That means, you know what I'm saying, be fruitful, multiply. Make more of yourself, make more of me. You know what I mean? And so to get back to it, thick thighs save lives is what I heard you say. Right? One, because mentally as a man or as a masculine energy, you're looking for that quality in a reproductive being, right? As a woman, I do my research on, like you said, the amount of aminos that go into it. And our legs are half of our body. Women, we carry the baby on our legs. So our legs have to be supportive. They have to be strong. And strength in legs, when you really, really work them very hard, it looks a certain way. There are science studies out now talking about how those with bigger posteriors may live longer lives. And it's because of what you said, the stem cells that are in those muscles. Again, the aesthetic looks a certain way and everybody gets hung up on the aesthetic, but that's not what we're doing. Like, it's cool to be in the flesh world and be like, hey, look at me. But the bodies that we're building are for longevity, and the science behind it is simple.
Facts. So I just think that, we got to open up these dialogues, you know, um, realize that, the chemical and even the surgical procedures, we got to get back to nature. We got to get back to nature.
Mm.
A lot of men are walking around with fake pipes, you know, and that's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? So we get into the space where
Listen, I
we
learned
went
about
from
that shit from you.
right. Listen, because I'm trying to talk about it on every platform because it's such a crazy, scary. I can't even find an adjective. Scary, frightening. Like them don't even fake pipes. Like I'm like, bruh,
It's like,
we
what are we doing
traumatized
here?
even still. Wait a minute, let me say this. We traumatized even still with those pictures of strange fruit, black men being hung and their genitals cut off, right?
Mhm.
But we don't realize that we live in a lifestyle now where we voluntarily cutting off ourselves. We voluntarily castrating ourselves. And I'm saying to myself, like, this is the
Mhm.
ultimate chess move in terms of brainwash. You done had these strong black men where you had to literally capture them, you know what I'm saying, and tie them up and hang them and chop off their private parts. You know what I'm saying? Where now
Right.
these
Now
niggas
you're doing
so
it on
dumb,
purpose. Oh my God.
they castrating themselves. You know what I'm saying? And so it's we went from,
Mm.
you know, genetically modified food to the end game of now fully genetically modified people, and
Hold on.
it's
So I'm gonna switch topics, right? I had put something up, but if men are doing this stuff, it's like women are doing this stuff, these things to themselves as well. It just in different ways, right? Augmenting the breast, augmenting the ass, augmenting the hips to give the appearance, the aesthetic of the thing that the mind craves, which is for reproduction, but it's not real. And so, a person like myself, I'll pull the celibate card because I don't want to deal with, and a lot of people are like this. I don't want to deal with people that don't know how to deal with their emotions, and you can see by their outward appearance. But
mm,
you said being celibate is selfish.
facts, because most people is not really celibate. They lying. Celibate means you are not bussing a nut. Celibate does not
Hmm.
mean that you at home masturbating. You got butterflies and all these little toys and Pornhub and no, you if you at home and you masturbating or you get in the bathtub and you no, you not celibate. You just having sex alone. That means you just keeping the box to yourself. Or the brothers, they at home getting calluses. You know what I'm saying? They with Pamela. You know what
I'm
I'm saying?
saying
They
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 be
having
getting
sex.
carpal tunnel.
Man, they having sex with Angela. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not celibacy.
Oh my God.
Celibacy is a purifying process, and it's not to say that it's not a good, but it's got to be real true celibacy. You know what I'm saying? Where you are abstaining from orgasm. You're allowing those energies to build, and you're doing the internal work to cultivate those energies. If we just sick and tired of dealing with the BS that come along with other people, but we still relieving ourselves, that's not celibate. That's just selfishness. That's just just keeping that thing all for yourself, and that's not. Yeah, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? But we
But
do
sex is
get we
absolutely
do get to
necessary.
that
But it's
space
it's
though.
dope.
Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to in that a lot of people aren't taught in childhood the power of singleness. You know what I'm saying? The celibacy era is best lived out in your childhood because you're
Mm,
not incited to do, or you're not pulled by those hormones, right? That start to come in during puberty that change your chemistry and therefore your brain about your parts that always exist. So that celibate era, while we end up picking it up in different portions of our lives for whatever reason, I think we're misutilizing that time of actual celibacy in adolescence, where we should be teaching children how to properly love themselves, even if that is self pleasure. I just watched a story about a woman giving her 13-year-old daughter a vibrator, and some people were like, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? Like, children have been touching themselves as self exploration since they've come. Nope, even in even in utero. So to somehow create this thing, this negative connotation about self awareness, right? That involves self pleasure, because I don't know what kind of God anybody serves, whatever your deity is. I thought they wanted you to be here and to live a pleasurable life, and then they give you this body that is it's meant for pleasure. Like, we are the only humans, we are the only mammals that have one organ that is specifically, its only purpose is to derive pleasure, to stimulate pleasure throughout the entire body. You know what I'm saying? And then we have zones, they're called erogenous zones, that again, the whole purpose is just for pleasure. So I got lost in that thought, but it's just, it's interesting how as a species we've taken something so pure and made it so convoluted and so beastly when it should be very beautiful and fun and engaging. We should care more about the
Well,
person
I
that
tell
we're
you,
with.
let me tell you a strange fact. A
Hmm.
strange fact is a part of the reason why sexual education is not taught properly is because of institutionalized racism. And melanin is like a taboo subject. You don't, that's one of the driving forces behind my organization. Shout out to Carly, Melanin versus Diabetes. But melanin is not taught. And melanin is actually at the center of addiction, whether it's sugar, cocaine, all forms of pleasure, because the center in our brain, our reward pathway, those are what's called dopaminergic neurons, meaning that's the heavy concentration of neuromelanin. And so you can't really have a scientific
Oh.
conversation on any of these things that involve pleasure or addiction without talking about neuromelanin. So, and science has always had a blind spot to anything connected to pigment or melanin, so that's just the weird, that's just, there's just so many facets of health that's universal, because sexual health applies to white, yellow, brown, red, blue. And I always tell people, when you cover up a science that's that integral to the human experience for whatever reason, everybody hurts. Everybody loses out. You know what I'm saying? Because that's integral to the human experience.
That's right.
So it's that's just a weird caveat.
Dang.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a little weird,
No, I think it's
trivia.
dope. I'd never thought about it like that. I often tell people how, one, in being a woman, that addiction, especially to sugar, is formulated off the science of breast milk, right? The fat to sugar ratio that makes the child want to nurse at the breast, and that they inevitably gain all of the things from. And what you're
It's
telling me is that
morphine.
you throw melanin in there like cinnamon,
Wait,
and it becomes
it's
a
it's
whole nother
morphine.
concoction.
It's morphine in the breast milk. Heroin. Morphine. Yeah, it's morphine in the breast milk. That's one of the reasons why we not supposed to. That's one of the reasons why milk is supposed to be species specific, because all breast milk has what's called casomorphine in it. And casomorphine is basically milk
Mm.
morphine. And the amount of this is why babies go to sleep when they get when you feed them milk. They go to sleep because they high, they got their fix. It's the morphine, you know what I'm saying? And um
Oh
yeah,
snap!
yeah. And so, but
That's
the
dope.
amount of morphine is weight specific. So a human baby is going to be anywhere from the small end of things, 5 pounds to 10 pounds on the large end, right? So the amount of casomorphine that comes out in the breast milk is designed for that. When you're drinking cow's milk,
Mm.
that amount of morphine in that milk is designed for 100 pound, 150 pound, right? So you damn near getting a real hit, which is giving the children a predisposition to opioid addiction, which is why we have such a strong opioid crisis in America, because the dairy is. And
Mhm.
this is why, like, when people trying to change their diet, they notice certain things,
It's
ranch
tough.
dressing. Yeah, ranch dressing, cheese. Like these little things, it'd be so hard and people
Cheese.
can't figure
The
out
little
why
shit.
I can't give up cheese. Like cheese
The
is
little
cheese. Yeah, because cheese is
why
concentrated
why do
morphine. You getting high. Yeah, you getting that hit. So,
That's right.
you know,
So
it's it
okay, it's all about the sugar that's in everything, right?
hmm
And to bring it back to the conversation, um, just like with a woman, just like with a man, you can either taste like real sugar or processed sugar. So, how would you say these things in our diet affect our humpability, our cardiovascular health? How does what we're eating make it unattractive to our potential mate for them to be with us? Because as a person who enjoys real sugar, I was in the store the other day. I told you about this. I ended up getting some pineapple juice because I love pineapple juice. Gentleman's in there, probably diabetic. He turns to me and says, "Oh, does that have a lot of sugar in it?" He looks at the back. I show him the back. I think it was like 20 grams of sugar. He's like, "Oh, that's too much." And I look at him like, "But it's fruit sugar. It's not processed sugar. It's real sugar. This sugar doesn't. It may be a lot of sugar, but it's because it's fruit. It's not a lot
let
of
me tell you, that
process."
blind spot in science also comes into the food because the
Mm,
process of processing food is to mainly remove two things. You remove the fiber and you remove the pigment. And then you just have the sugar left by itself. In a natural fruit, you have the pigment and you have the fiber, and the sugar, the vitamins, the minerals, all in between tied to the pigment and the fiber. And so when you remove those things, it
and it's that
becomes,
fiber that does it for us.
well, the fiber, but also the pigment. The pigment is called in the food universe antioxidants, right? So, your zeaxanthins, or, those would be like your yellows and oranges, or, you know, they just have a whole variety of names of, but usually they come under the broad category of antioxidants because it's the pigments that, you know, keep the inflammation down just on a basic level, keep the inflammation down, keep the oxidation from happening, which is the main thing you're dealing with sugar, performs like a acid in the traditional term of or the scientific definition, where it removes electrons, so it pulls electricity out of the body, whereas a alkaline or a
Mm,
base donates electrons to the body. And so, that's what the pigment does. The pigment serves as the electron donor, and the sugar being the electron stealer. They balance each other out. And then the fiber feeds the microbiome in the body, which allows your body's inner and outer bacteria to function symbiotic with the body, as opposed to robbing the body and becoming problematic. And going to the I taste part, there's a part of um, microbiology that's involved with intimacy. When you enter a woman, waist down, you're mixing bacteria. Those bacteria need to
right.
come together. They need to have chemistry, or you're going to have situations.
You're
When
gonna
you
have
kiss
imbalances.
somebody, when you kiss somebody, you sharing bacteria, you know, and so you can
Right.
have good chemistry where it improves your immune system. It makes it stronger, it provides more diversity. Or they can go to war, and you might have an outbreak or an infection. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't really think about sharing bacteria when we come together like that. You know what I'm saying? But we do. You know what I'm saying? We got little micro populations that are coming together. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, there's a
Right.
whole
That are legit. legit coming together.
Absolutely.
All right, brother Icky. Yo, yo, yo.
Yeah, this has been a conversation. This
This
has been a
conversation has
conversation.
been so enlightening. There's so many things. Yeah, brother. So at the end of it, right? For those that are this, I call this our pre-hump day conversation, right? To get everybody ready for that humpability. I had to throw the thing at the bottom. We were singing the song last night, Do Me Baby. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Everybody wants to be with somebody, but if you're not with yourself aware, uh, clean, meaning not just soap and water, but clean, healthy foods, living foods, then you're going to be giving yourself or your partner a dead carcass to engage with. And why would you want to
Well,
do
listen.
that?
If
Don't do
and this
that to
is
me. Remember that.
wait, let me just add this into this thought, sis. I'm sorry to interrupt your build again, but you need to have lifestyle chemistry. You know,
No, you
if
could.
you as a woman are
Ooh.
trying to eat clean, or you as a man, right? Let's say as a man, you on your Elijah Muhammad, you don't eat no pork, but your lady eat pork, and
Mm.
then you kissing and loving and licking,
They
and
gonna work.
y'all do, nigga, you eat pork. If
You
she
still
eat
eat pork?
pork and y'all mixing bodily fluids, you eat pork.
you
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you eat
y'all got to be
pork.
on the same page with that. Yeah, yeah, y'all got to be on the same
Oh,
page with
listen,
that.
say it again. Lifestyle compatibility. Bruh, we got to be
Yeah,
on the
because it
same
don't make no
page.
sense for,
I tell brothers that
if
all the
this,
time. They'll try to be like,
yeah.
it don't make it don't make sense. Don't come over here knowing that you don't work out on a religious basis like I do and expect me to get you to do something that you ain't willing to do for yourself.
Yeah. Or at least you got to make sure in advance that patience is
Mm.
there. You know what I'm saying? If you got to be willing to go, okay, listen, this is what first date's supposed to be. It ain't supposed to be, overwhelming with drugs and alcohol and money to try to, first date need to figure out what we try to do here. You know what I'm saying? If you don't work out and I work out, or if you eating all kind of meat and all kind of wild foolishness and I don't, that first date,
Mm-mm.
obviously there's some sort of value there, and I gotta make an assessment, or you gotta make an assessment if you're willing to have the patience, because maybe the person's trying to change, or maybe the person used to be on top of their game and what they don't, because we go through slumps or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they used to be on top of their game. This is a valley. Maybe they're not at the peak right now. Maybe they're in a valley. So hey, all right, I'm with it. Let's get it.
Maybe
Let's
they're in
get
a
it
valley.
together. Yeah,
They
yeah.
not in
Let's
the
get it
groove right
together.
now. They in a rut. I got you.
Yeah, let's climb this hill together. Let's climb this mountain. Let's create our own peak. So we got that story together. Let's I'll work with you while you're getting in shape, or you work with me while I'm trying to build this business, or we work together while we changing our diet, or But if there's no actual intention of doing certain things, we might just want to go ahead, enjoy this meal or enjoy a movie, and then dap it up at the end and go our separate ways, because we ain't really got nothing that we got. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Yeah, and sex is just gonna make us angry later on,
What's the
especially if
comedian?
it's good, because we ain't
He
got
say,
no
well,
compatibility. Yeah. So
bro, I be telling men all the time, why don't try to sneak panties off of women. It's so much better when she want to give it to you. When she want to give it to you, it's wetter. It's everything. You know what I'm saying? You try to trick a woman out her drawers, nigga, something wrong with you.
on that note, on that note,
All right, so brother,
I think, yeah,
I
yeah, I
always
think you
close the
just,
show, every show I do, with three things, right? So give the people three things that they can do, especially the brothers. So it'll end up being six, right? Three things that brothers can do for themselves, and then three suggestions to encourage women to encourage self love for their men, their partners. What three things would you encourage men to do, and what three things would you encourage women to do to encourage their partners?
Okay, so the three things I would encourage men to do is A, text my phone 586-298-5000 so you can join the push-up challenge. That's number one. Let's increase that hump ability. The second thing I would encourage men to do is go to my website, AmericanHealer.website, not .com, .website. Don't be old school, people. In the future, .coms is going to be dinosaurs. Everything is going to be personalized. So it's AmericanHealer.website and get the blue magic. One of the rising things that men got to worry about right now is prostate health. And one of the biggest problems with the male prostate, actually, even with the uterus, but this is for the males, the is the calcification process contributes to all of the prostate issues that we having across the board. And the reason why a lot of times men and women are having calcification issues is because we don't have enough iodine in our diet. And the iodine in the table salt is not the right type of iodine. You need the iodine from sea vegetables. And when it comes to sea vegetables, sea moss is not just sea moss. You got hundreds of thousands of different types of algae, and primarily the ones that are highest in bioavailable iodine are from the cold water climates, not Jamaica, not Tanzania, not Peru, not St. Lucia, cold water regions, which are called Irish mosses, right? So that's two things. And the third thing is read more. Start reading books. You know what I'm saying? Like get back into the art of reading physical books, not reading PDFs, not reading Google posts, actual books. You know, collect books and don't just collect books, but read the books that you purchase before you buy new books. One of the most embarrassing things I think is when people got a whole bunch of books in their house and then you get over there because I'm the type of person that's gonna put you on the spot. And I come to your house and I see a bunch of books. I'm gonna start asking you, hey, you read this one? Oh yeah, no, I ain't read that. I'm about to get around. You read this one? You read that one? Hold on. Which of these books you read? Nigga, you got 200 books here. You ain't read but three of these books, and you only read them halfway through. Like, nah. It's better to have a 20 book library and to have read all 20 of those books than to have 200 books that you ain't read none of. So that's the three things I would say. Join the push-up challenge. Um, get you some blue magic in your life. Let's start to decalcify the body, and start reading. And then for the sisters, I would say the same exact thing. Sisters, text my phone 586-298-5000. Join the push up challenge. Let's be active in the fight against breast cancer. You know, one of the craziest things that I found out early was that there was like an anxiety and even a paranoia, like a fear that was being marketed to women that had the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene. And when you look at the numbers, having the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene, first of all, it's not 100% death sentence that you guaranteed to have breast cancer. It actually is a marker that just says somewhere along the line, somebody before you in your genetic past had breast cancer. It's not saying you definitely gonna get it. If anything, it should be something for you to look into and go, okay, let's look at this family member if possible. Let's do some homework and see what things I could change. Because if I repeat the diet, if I repeat the lifestyle, I'll repeat the results. So let's be active in our fight against breast cancer. Secondly, I would say that, you know, go to AmericanHealer.website, get that iodine in through the blue magic. It's a very easy thing to consume. You can put it in all your food, all your dishes, and it makes bad food better. It makes bad food better. Think about one of the biggest problems we have with our processed food is that it's devoid of nutrition. A lot of times it's not that the food is inherently bad, it's just hollow calories. It's food that doesn't have the vitamins, minerals, etc. But if you could just add a little squirt, the same way you squirt ketchup or you squirt mustard, what if you could just squirt all of Dr. Inky and all of Dr. Sabi's herbs just in one squirt? Boop, it's automatically in the batter of your fried chicken. Or boop, it's automatically in your barbecue sauce. Or boop, it's automatically in your soup. That's the whole
Pause.
name of the game. Just
Pause.
add that
You
nutrition
got to
back
market that. You got to market that a different way, brother.
there.
I'm not sure if everybody ready to work this. Pause.
Yeah,
I'm
but no,
sorry.
but listen, listen,
I was
we got to
listening and
get
I
it
was like,
there
but
because
wait, but wait.
no, I'm telling you, listen, we got to get it there because um, and in the lingo of the conversation, we not having maximum penetration with this information. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, holistic
Listen, you know what I'm saying? Take it
products,
deeper, brother. Take it deeper.
yeah, and that's what we got to do. We got to get deeper penetration. We got to get full penetration into the masses because you know it's one thing to talk veganology, herbology and holistic living with other people that's already in the space. But we got so many people that's not in the space. Like in what we got 5 days until heart attack explosions. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna be having cookouts and barbecue contests, which is basically sugar syrup on dead animals. Like it's just add a little bit of nutrition into that. I'd like to say that everybody should be changing their diet to eat differently, but in reality, they not. So if you're that one person in your household, because usually it's just one person in the household, if you're that one person in the household, you need to be able to sneak nutrition into the food. You need to be able to sneak nutrition in on these niggas. That's not otherwise gonna eat. They're not getting ready to have no vegan nothing. They getting ready to have regular rib. Like, okay, cool. Huh. Go ahead and have your ribs. Boop. You don't even know. I done already put some herbs and all that up in there and boop, boop, boop. And I got the idea for that going back to the original purpose of herbs and spices. We think herbs and spices and seasoning
Mm.
is to flavor the food, but originally it was to put the medicinal plants into the food to make sure everybody remained healthy and to make sure we kept these things in our bloodstream circulating. So, in order to do that, we put it in the food every meal so that we would always have certain herbs and spices and things in the food. A lot of the most medicinal herbs is in people's cabinet already. You know what I'm saying? They just don't know to use cayenne for circulation or cilantro for, cleansing and them is in the cabinet already. So, it's just just making things
Oh,
easy
brother.
and
So
convenient.
next time I'm gonna have to meet you in the kitchen.
Man, we might have to go there. Yeah, we might have to go there. Thyme and rosemary and
We
just
want
all
we
these
gonna
little
we gonna
things.
have to take these. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, all
because
these little
there's a
things.
bunch
So
of stuff that mentally and physically could produce intimacy for our viewers, uh, solo and partnered. You know what I mean?
the selfish ones and the givers and takers. Right. So and lastly, the third
Yeah,
thing
I'm
is
saying. Plus, apparently, you got the juice and the sauce for everybody.
yeah. And the third thing is read more, ladies. You know what I'm saying? As the progenitors of intelligence, you teach a man, you teach an individual, you teach a woman, you teach a nation. So we gotta get you sisters to read more, raise the bar. If you and this is how I say, you change the trend, you change the world. So if like we see gun violence right now for chains, for for finances. Well, if you sisters make it a thing where you start giving that box away for intelligence instead of the finances, the world will change
Oof.
a lot faster. You know what I'm saying? If we all put an emphasis on
Ooh.
becoming sapiosexuals, you know what I'm saying? So in order to do that, you can't expect to attract something that you're not. So as you sisters become more well studied, you're gonna attract brothers that's more well studied, and the brothers that's not well studied, they gonna get well studied, or at least develop vocabularies where they can fake it. Like they wearing fake jewelry now.
This
Brothers go wait, like they wearing fake jewelry. They gonna have fake vocabulary, you know what I'm saying? Because they gonna want to impress the ladies. So yeah, exercise, blue
it's time
magic,
to be
and read.
more impressionable.
Yeah.
I like it. That's almost like the fit goddess mindset. Sleep, eat, sleep, and exercise. You know what I'm saying? That's for your body, and then for your spirit. Listen, be respectful, and do your very best. Super dope, brother. We gonna close out now. You know you can find me here, the Fit Goddess, every Monday at around 7 for Fit to Heal, and then Wednesdays at varying times when we have our different empowered authors on for the Empowerment Bookstore. And now with my handsome brother, Dr. Inky over here, where the gods and goddesses unite. Um, you'll have to catch us when we pop up because sometimes the conversation just strikes us like it did, and then we make time to get together. But we'll check you again
Shout out
soon.
Say Cool.
Here.
Shout out Say Cool, pulling the strings in the background.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we out.
Peace.